Welcome to the Geek Easy. Sit back, grab a libation of your choice, and relax, 'cause it's time to do some geek stuff in the Geek Easy. Welcome to the Geek Easy, fellow geeks. Grab a beverage of your choice, because today we're going to review EC's Vault of Horror Archives number 2. It took me a bit to read this because I picked up some other things and wound up reading them before I finished this. But I love these books. So this is what it collects right here. And it is such... These books are so good. This is back in the 50s. This is pre-code horror. And in fact, some of these books are directly responsible for the implementation of the Comics Code. Because you get the book Seduction of the Innocent by, I can't remember his name right now. But then you have the congressional inquiries, and Mr. Gaines testified before the inquiries, and he answered some things honestly, which kind of tweaked it and brought the codes in, and then eventually killed the books. But look at some of the art in this thing. These are some just incredibly awesome pictures, and just they can be kind of gruesome if you think about it. But the stories are so good. They're a little short, and everybody gets their comeuppance at the end. And, there's just, you have a little thing, and then boom, there's a big twist at the end. And sometimes you can see what's coming. Sometimes you can't, but I really don't try and figure out the endings, because it's just so fun going through the process of reading these things. And you have like the old kind of the morals of the of the 50s, and you have the just all sorts of stuff. Like, there's one of the last books stories in here. This doesn't really have anything to do with the morals, but the guy got promoted to a manager of a factory, and he was making $10,000 a year, and that allowed him to live large. Can you imagine being able to live large for $10,000 a year nowadays? Jeez, you'd be considered well below the poverty line now. But these books are such a cross section of stories. Sometimes you have like werewolves, sometimes you have vampire stuff, you have crime, you have murder stuff, but they're all a horror genre, and they're just incredibly fun to read. And it's just, and I wish you could have stuff like this today, but you just can't. There's not. Some of the people try and replicate these things today in modern days, and it just doesn't work. I don't know what it is, which makes these even more fun. And I highly recommend these books. If you can afford to get even the first printings of them, or even the floppies, all the better. But if you can't get these, and then here's one of my favorite stories. It's called About Face. So you have a okay, that's not the one that I'm talking about. That's not the one I was talking about. That was kind of good. What is it? But there is one book, a story about a young woman. She answers an ad in the paper to be an assistant to a woman. It pays really well, and I guess the woman was kind of famous at some point, but now she's not. She's trying to go incognito, so she keeps her face covered, right? So she's gonna be this assistant, and her brother's like, "No, you can't do that. This just doesn't sound right." And the girl's like, "No, I'm gonna do it." And so she goes to audition, and she gets the role, and they book a passage on a cruise ship from New York to Europe, probably, I think the UK. And about 2 days after they leave, they get some rough seas, and the girl gets sick. And even after the rough seas are over, the woman is just getting more and more sick. The lady who's helping her, who always keeps her face covered, is staying by her side. She's chanting and all that stuff, and then the woman dies. And the brother's just like, "No, this is not cool. This is something's bad." So he flies over, investigates stuff, goes sees the woman, who is really hot. She's taking the thing off. She's really hot. And can't prove anything. And then so he just starts hanging out and sees an ad by this woman. She's going back to she's going to go back to America on a ship. So he books passage on the ship, makes friends with the girl, and the same thing happens. And so what the thing is, and then it turns out that the woman is... He talks to the doctor and all that, and it turns out that the woman is kind of like a vampire, but it's not blood, but they use something else, some like energy or something like that to keep her beautiful. And they had stopped this one from happening, so they had locked the lady in there, and at the end she's just like this skeleton, and things like that, stories like that, which are just really kind of cool. But and just fun little stories where you're just like, wow, this is cool. A guy who starts feeding people to his alligators because they're meat eaters, and then winds up getting eaten by his alligators, and you can sort of see that one coming. But if you're into pre-code horror, and if you loved the Tales from the Crypt TV show, This is sort of what the show was based on. The Vault of Horror and Tales from the Crypt. This is the stuff. So I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5 just because I love this stuff. But let me know if you've read any of this stuff, what you think. Like, subscribe, and most of all, enjoy your comics.